Can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
What's up, FT fam? I know I mentioned yesterday, sometimes I'm not saying the guests at the top of the show on purpose for how the podcast gets split up. But again, I'm going to throw it out there today. Even Ken Rosenthal, who I was just with on Fair Territory, shouted out the VIP list we have for today's show. So, AJ, Jackson Holliday, Jayson Stark, Aaron Boone. I was going to ask you which one you're most excited about, but I feel like I know the answer just based on one never being on the show.
Yeah, Jackson Holliday, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. I mean, he's young. He's on fire right now. He's playing well. And I got a couple good questions I want to ask him about a couple things off the field that you guys will hate. So I'm definitely excited about that.
I have one too, actually, in that category. And also, you guys know
football.
No, mine's. I'm not even gonna give a hint, but you guys know Matt too, right? You guys both played. You played with him where?
At the Yankees.
Yanks.
Like our kids, we hit BP together and everything. Like that whole AJ knows the whole kid. Like, didn't you play with them at some point where your kids would have played together?
I played with them, 2014.
Yeah, in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I went to Cards. Yep. So awesome. I'm excited to ask him about that whole connection too. So we're going to talk to Boone and Stark after that. Let's not waste time. Let's charge the damn mound.
He's charging the mound.
Another historic night for the Chicago White Sox. No, I'm kidding. But they were playing the Yanks, and they did give up home run number 300 of Aaron Judge's career. It's a nice shiny number. AJ, what did you think of the AB, which actually started with 3 non-competitive pitches? And I give them credit. I said this on Fair Territory in the broadcast for the Yanks. I think it was Flaherty and Rucco. They were like, he's going to get the green light in this situation they're leading, and he pummeled that pitch. What did you think?
I mean, he was a little mad. First of all, congratulations, Aaron Judge, on 300 so fast, 955 games. Pretty amazing accomplishment. And my favorite part was they intentionally walked Juan Soto. We're going to ask Aaron Boone hopefully about it later, but they intentionally walked Juan Soto to get to Aaron Judge, and then Aaron Judge hit the home run 3-0. I just want to know, has anyone ever been intentionally walked in front of Aaron Judge before to get to him? I would think the answer would be no. So I want to ask Boone that, but yeah, congratulations. I don't know what the White Sox were doing. They had to pick their poison. At that point, it's 3-0. You just take your chances with Austin Wells, I think, or whoever was sitting behind Judge, because you figured he hadn't done much the whole series. It was time, and he did not miss that pitch, and the White Sox got hammered.
I'm almost positive it was the first time that Soto was intentionally walked all year.
Definitely. Definitely this year.
So,
but ever in front of Judge, has anybody ever... maybe his rookie year?
I mean, yeah, maybe at a different time period in life. But if you look at what he's doing right now in this season, there's a BetMGM little meme. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
One of my favorite ones.
Dodgeball. It is.
One of my favorite ones.
That's what I wanted to bring up to you, too, Kratz, is, okay, we know what the White Sox have gone through this season. Should they be zigging while everyone else is zagging, or vice versa? Like, should they be the ones that sit down and go, you know what we should do that no one else has done? Let's intentionally walk Soto to get to Judge. Like, why are they the team that's doing that right now?
I don't know. Now I want to ask Boone this if we get to it.
Yeah.
Like, do you, as a pitcher, Chad Kuhl has a career. Chad Kuhl has battled injuries. He has battled back from shoulder, elbow, everything. If he looks in there and goes, you want me to walk Soto? Like, he hears it. I guess it's not a sign anymore. It's like, intentionally walk. What? No. I want to go after this guy. Like, especially as a veteran. I don't know. I want to ask Boone, like, do you want your pitcher to be like, no, I want him because I don't want to anger the Bear that doesn't have a home run in this series. He's hit some balls hard, but he didn't have a home run until yesterday. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand that, but no, they should not be zigging and zagging because it's somebody's career. Like, Chad Kuhl's ERA will be higher today because of that decision and the fact that he had to face Judge.
Yeah, and Juan Soto said he expected back-to-back intentional walks. Quote, I didn't know they were going to try to pitch to him. I don't know. It's their strategy. I don't know what they were thinking. Austin Wells, who hit a homer after Judge, said, quote, that was crazy. I couldn't believe it. AJ, did you think that they were going back-to-back? I had no idea. I mean, I saw it. I didn't have even time to think about it, but I thought it was unique to even try to walk Soto in that particular place. But in that situation, you're losing, right? What was the score? They were down at that point 2-3?
No, I think it was 6-2 at that point.
It
was
was
6-2
already
at that
6-2?
point.
So like,
Mhm.
that's the time you're trying to do something cute here? I don't
Go
get
after
it.
him. Go after him.
Yeah,
Like
right?
to me, that's the time. I don't know what AJ thinks about it, but I go after Soto and I say, chances are he only has 34 home runs. Chances are in his other 300, I don't know how many at bats Soto has, he hasn't hit a homer. Go after him.
He also had 4 homers in a row in this series, so that
I
was
get
what they
it.
were thinking. I mean, it was 6-2. They were down. They had a base open. Yeah, I think the smart thing probably would have been to walk them both, but they didn't. And Judge made him pay. I mean, I heard Grady Sizemore's comments after the game, and he's like, "Yeah, Soto's been hot," and he's like, "Not the Judge hasn't, but in this series, Soto's been way hotter. And we were taking a chance, and it didn't work out." So, yeah, they tried something different. Why not at this point try whatever? I mean, nothing worked, so why not try something different?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, try competing. And I get it, Chad Kuhl's a veteran, so maybe it doesn't apply, but like, go compete. See if you can get Juan Soto out. See if he's a guy that they're going to re-sign. I mean, I guess it's a tiny one at bat. It's not a whole season of results, but like, that's what you have to start building on as a team. Whether it's none of these players that you build around, but it's a environment of, you know what? We're going to go after these guys. I know we're down 6-2, but why do they need to, like, the righty-righty matchup with Chad Kuhl and Aaron Judge was better? Aaron Judge's 1,100 OPS? I don't know.
No, it's to me trying way too hard in the weirdest way. But River Ave Blues are the tweet that got a lot of attention yesterday. Congrats to Judge on hitting his 301st home run. Real ones know. Actually, AJ, to me, this goes back to our combo yesterday with Jen Latta about the Armando Galarraga perfecto. I think this was, what was it, a called triple that maybe should have been a homer in hindsight?
Yeah, I think it hit like the top of the wall or something, and they gave it a triple instead of a home run. I don't know. I mean, again, you can't go back and change everything. I mean, there's a million things that have happened in baseball. Here you go. This is the one they're talking
This
about.
is the play. Yeah, Yankees, Cardinals. Okay.
And interference.
Yeah. I mean,
James
it's funny.
Howard.
It's cute. Right. It's like, AJ, for me, I could go, AJ, what was your career batting average?
280, I think.
I'll be like, AJ Pierzynski, 282. The real ones know that there were, 38 times at strike three. Should have been like, well, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he
it's
still
fun,
did it
though.
faster than anybody, so I'm glad that he got there faster than anybody. It's pretty cool that, he went from, if you remember when they first called him up, people were like, man, is this guy ever going to hit? And he figured it out real quick. So I'm happy for Aaron Judge, because there's not a nicer guy to go talk to on the planet than Aaron Judge when you walk into a clubhouse. I mean, he's always greeting, he's always got a smile on his face, and he's just always nice to talk to.
And that clip, by the way, that play was from 2017, the triple for Judge. That wasn't a homer. What about Soto getting asked about Judge chasing the all-time home run record? So in terms of games played, he has gotten to this mark way faster than anyone. It is super impressive. He got called up to the show at 24, I think is when he was a rookie. The chances of him getting to that mark are almost impossible. Soto is like, I'll just hit 60 a year. He might for the next 2 or 3 years, but he's not hitting 60 when he's 37 or 8. I mean, most likely you're not carrying that for the entire time, let alone injuries. So the chances are slim. I just thought, AJ, the way I took it was Juan Soto loves Aaron Judge. He has the ultimate respect for him. He loves hitting next to him. And if I said this to Ken on Fair, if all money is the same, he's staying with the Yanks because he loves playing with them.
Yeah, listen, he'd have to hit 60 home runs for 8 more years to catch Barry Bonds. That's not happening. I'm sorry. He's 32 right now. He's going to be 33 at the beginning of next year. That puts him at 40 to 41. It's just not going to happen. I mean, he might – could he get to 500? Yes, he could get to 500. But to get to 700 and whatever it is, whatever Barry – what is it, 762 I think Barry's number is? I mean, he needs 460 more. That's averaging over 50 over 8 years doesn't get him there. Right? So that puts him at 400. He's still 50 short over 50 short or 60 short, whatever the number is. So I don't think he's going to get there. Now, does he have a chance to get to 500? Yes. And if he gets to 500, is he a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. But yeah, for Soto to say that, I mean, he's just trying to defend his boy, and I like it. And plus, listen, Soto wants to stay in Yankee pinstripes. He knows he's got to have the captain on his side. So smart, really, really smart by Juan Soto.
So Judgy's going to be in the negotiations with Juan. He's going to be like, hey, Hal, like, open up the book. And Hal will be like, oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Since Judgy says it. He does have that much clout, and you couldn't be more spot on about Aaron Judge. What a nice guy. Like the story, I'll tell it sometime, about how Aaron Judge became my son's favorite player in his rookie year when I got traded over there. Like he's just that real, and he is exactly what you see. And it's amazing to see because he is crushed, bombarded by media every single day. And he is still that guy every single day.
Mm-hmm. He is. I think Judge should just give Soto his playbook from a few off seasons ago. Okay, here's what you do.
Take a fake
fly
flight
out to San Francisco. I know a guy already out there. He'll take a video, pretend like he's seeing you there. We'll tell him it's, 5:55, and you'll get 5:60 from the Yanks, and you come back home. Right?
What? Yeah, I mean, that's a play. But we have to say, what's a realistic, if he plays till he is, because he's 32, let's say he plays till he's 40, what's a realistic number per season that he'll hit?
It's going to change. I mean, the next few years.
Average.
I know, but AJ, like the next 3 to 4 years, he still might, if he's healthy, be a 60-ish home run guy. But then it's going to dip. Like it always does.
Like that is historic.
I'm saying
numbers.
If he plays a full season. So the average for the 8-year period, AJ, in my mind, that I think is fair based on injuries and then age, probably 40.
So he hits 40 for 8 years. That puts him at 620 plus whatever he finishes up with this year. He's still well over 100 short.
Yeah.
I mean, 40's, listen,
40's crazy.
He's going to hit 40 home runs for the next 8 years. That's how many years does he have left on his contract? 7 more years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll count 7 more years after this year, right? 7 years after this?
Correct. 31 is when he's done.
If he hits 40 homers for the next 7 years, that would be an accomplishment because he's going to age. He's playing center field. He's going to get hurt. Things are going to happen. You slow down. We've seen it with everybody. It happens to everybody, no matter who you are. Even Barry Bonds slowed down at a certain point. I mean, if he hits 40 and averages 40 for the next 8 years, the Yankees will be absolutely ecstatic.
I mean, Big Papi was hitting dingers late. I mean, I just think about other.
But he didn't play a position. I mean, he was a
Right.
DH the whole career.
I just think about other big guys. Like I always thought when Harper first came in the game, his swing was so violent. I'm like, how is that swing going to age? It has aged so well. But Judgy, like, who else do you compare him to? Like, he is a monster.
Yeah, of that size, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, the outfield's going to take a toll too on you, especially center field. It's fine for a season. We've talked about that. But anyway, let's step aside because we got to get to the VIP guest list. So we're going to start with Orioles rookie Jackson Holliday joining Foul Territory for the first time. He's coming up next in a couple minutes, and we'll stay here for the YouTube channel crowd to answer some questions. We can do this now because I don't think it's a crazy story, but Elias Diaz was placed on waivers. Ken broke the story last night. The All-Star MVP from last year had an even better start to this season, but he was, I don't know what the exact numbers were, but he was a well above average offensive catcher, even with the Colorado ballpark factors up until July. And then he's just really struggled. So the Rockies claimed they couldn't get anything for him. Now I think AJ, he'll get claimed tomorrow and he'll be on another ball club.
What's he making this year? Do we know?
He's got 1.5 left that's due for the rest of the year. Okay. Why, you think there's a chance he won't just because he's super cold at the plate and it's hard to get a catcher into his system?
It's hard for catchers in mid-season to get moved unless somebody gets hurt because teams just don't like mixing it up. But, I'm looking at his numbers. He's got an 88 OPS plus, 5 homers, 36 RBIs. Not great, but he can play, and he's a good, he did win the All-Star Game MVP, which people could argue about last year that whether he even should have been an All-Star, but that's a whole different thing. I mean, would teams like to have him? I'm sure, but I don't know that a team's going to claim him because it's really hard for most contending teams have a really good catcher. Look at the teams that are contending. They have a good catcher and they have a backup in place that's solid for him. So most teams aren't going to make the Yankees, maybe. When's Trevino come back, right?
He's in his rehab, or it's coming soon. I get the PR notes from Somerset that he's there.
I think he's playing. We can ask Boone too later, but
you can ask.
I think I'm going to go against my brethren. He's better than probably 70% of the backup catchers that are in the game right now. And if you're one of those teams, the Yankees could use him even for a week until Hosey comes back.
Yeah.
Like he is a valuable piece to a team at a premium position. And I think somebody will pick him up. I don't know the waiver claim like today, up to date, who's ahead of who, but he'll get picked up.
1:00 tomorrow, the teams have to submit by 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Behind the scenes mentioned from the Diamondbacks because Gabby Moreno's hurt. Del Castillo's been blazing hot, but it's been a few weeks. So, yeah, we'll see. Within the division.
They've been doing fine. They've been doing okay without him, too.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That's the biggest thing is Padres, they have Higgy and Campusano, right? You look at the Dodgers, they have Will Smith and Austin Barnes. They're not going anywhere. You start looking down, the Diamondbacks make sense, but then the Diamondbacks are on the hook for him for the rest of the year. Do they want to pay that salary or just wait it out?
Yeah, probably not. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Here we go. Orioles rookie Jackson Holliday joining us right now on FT for the first time. Great to have you on Foul Territory, Jackson. How you doing, man? How's big league life?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're really good. We were reminiscing about you, not me, these guys, but knowing you when you were a kid. So, he was playing with who? Which kid was he playing with?
Braden.
My
son's names are Braden and Ethan. Braden is your brother, Ethan's age. They were hitting BP together, and I made an absolute just idiot question to you. Because do you remember in Yankee Stadium when we were hitting? Or maybe not.
I don't remember vividly, but I definitely remember you being there.
But I remember asking you, I was like, so Jackson, like, can you hit him? Because we were hitting out beyond second base, like hitting homers over the wall. I was like, hey, have you gotten any balls out? He's like, yeah. You're like, yeah. I hit the wall. I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. He's like, from home plate. And I was like, all right, you were like 4. This was 17. So what were you, 14 at that time?
Yeah, about 13, 14. Yep.
Yeah. So that was my stupid Matt Holliday's son question that I gave you. Sorry.
No big deal.
What about you, AJ?
I just remember, first of all, Jackson still looks like he's about the same age as when, he was running around with my son in 2014 with the Cardinals. So it looks like they're still playing Golden Tee in the Cardinals clubhouse there.
Yeah.
The big thing was my son and Kratz's oldest son are the same age. He's played against Ethan many a times, your brother. But the one story that's great about Jackson is the time we were in LA for the playoffs, and Jackson got all the kids kicked off the field by the Dodgers. They were mad, so then we went out and beat the Dodgers' ass that year in the playoffs and sent them home. They sent us all home. They said we had too many kids. The Joe Torre, came out and said, well, you can't have kids on the field during BP in the playoffs. And we had like 20 kids out there running around. They made us all and then everyone in the Cardinals was pissed.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Remember that? They drug him right off the field in the middle of BP. Joe Torre's like, nope, every kid off the field right now. We had like kids everywhere in the outfield. It was damn daycare. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember a lot of those guys, Maloney and JT and a lot of those guys. Yeah, still keep in touch with a few of them.
All right, so last Jackson Holliday is a kid story. I need you to confirm if this is true or not true. We're going to go back from when your dad did not get re-signed with the Cardinals, and your mother, who was very involved with raising you kids in this baseball life, said you said something, you had choice words about Mo. Were those true choice words or not true? Now, this is a kid. Jackson Holliday did not say these words yesterday. He said these as a kid after reacting to his father not coming back to St. Louis, a place that you loved.
Yeah, Honestly, I don't remember. I remember being pretty upset. I had a pretty good travel team there, and I enjoyed living in St. Louis, and then having to move again. I think me and some of my siblings set the record for most times moved in about 10 years. So I was pretty upset. I don't remember saying anything. I'm sure I might have, but who knows? And but yeah, I love St. Louis. I love being able to go to the field there every day, and I had a good travel team when I was about 12. So I don't remember saying anything.
It's all about the travel team. It's all about. By the way, I think my
Right.
son's travel team is 2-0 against Ethan's. I'm just saying,
Oh, nice.
uh, including at USA this year, they beat them 1-0, and they went on and
Yeah.
won the championship. So that was kind of funny.
Awesome.
That
That's sweet.
the two basically Orlando-based teams played, and
Yeah.
whatever. All right, so I got to ask you, what's it like having a brother? I mean, as famous as you are, but you have a brother, Ethan, that is the first high school kid, I believe, to have his own shoe.
I don't know if he has his own shoe yet, but I'm pretty sure he has an Adidas good old NIL deal. So he definitely got that before me. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to share that with him. And yeah, he's pretty fun to watch, and got to play on the USA team, and they were in San Diego yesterday. So it's fun to keep track of all the stuff that he's been doing.
Jackson, I spent parts of 13 years in the minor leagues. You spent parts of 13 minutes in the minor leagues. Do you think, with your skills and the things that you've learned from your short time up in the big leagues and then sent back down, do you feel like the minor leagues are necessary, or do you feel like it is something that it's different for each person's journey? And how are you going to take that over to your teammates and your brother, who's going to be getting into this realm super quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit different for everybody. I had a kind of a unique situation growing up in baseball, and then in the last few years being at Oklahoma State and being able to be around college guys every day, and so kind of going into the minor league clubhouse, it's mostly college guys. So being able to kind of navigate that, I kind of had an advantage of being around guys that are a little bit older than me, and but I think everyone's experience is obviously different. I was able to play well at every level, and then be able to come up here earlier this year and fail and go back down and learn from that. And but I think it's beneficial to definitely play in the minor leagues and kind of go through those experiences, and it's definitely helpful. And this time go around.
All right, Jackson, what happened? You came up and the fanfare was real, right? Was your dad, first of all, I have to ask, was your dad tired of flying around to watch you, to wait for you to get your first hit? I mean, they kept showing him in the stands,
Yeah.
and every time he was like, "Oh, another day, I have to go." But then after that, what happened? You got sent back down, which happens to a lot of us. What adjustments did you make to get back to what you've become now, which is the player we thought you would be when you first came up?
Yeah, whenever I first went down, just was kind of just searching. I obviously came up here and didn't perform to the level that I wanted to. So whenever I went back down, it kind of took me a little bit to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and really commit to kind of making some smaller changes, but ultimately just trying to commit to an approach and driving the ball the other way, because whenever I do that, I adjust pretty well. I'm on off speed whenever I'm staying through fastballs through the opposite field gap. So just tinkering with stuff and with my hands, and looking at film from last year, and just stuff that I did well last year with kind of the angle that my bat was set at, and just trying to find little things and watching video, and making sure that my lower half was in a better position, because I was pretty upright the first time, and was just missing mistakes. And I think that's what I've done better this time is hitting mistakes, because whenever big league pitchers are locating, it's extremely difficult. And I was missing every mistake and every fastball the first time, and just really bearing down the last few weeks in AAA, and trying to hit fastballs at the top of the zone, and committing to trying to be flat and direct to the ball, and it's been very helpful.
Yeah, looks like it's been very helpful. All right, I'm going to give you three people. The first person is somebody that we don't know, The second person is Chloe, and the third person is your dad. Who helped you? Who helps your swing more on a day-to-day basis? Chloe is your new bride. If people who don't know,
Yeah. Chloe just kind of watches me try to figure everything out. She's like, "Oh, it looks a little bit different." I'm like, "Oh yeah." um, uh, that's kind of the help that she's the best. But yeah, that kind of doned me up one time whenever she's like, "Oh, you look a little bit different than you did." I'm like, "Oh, well, I better figure that out." But my dad's obviously very helpful. Kind of understands my swing and what I like to do and kind of how it works. And then I mean I had great hitting coaches, Mike and AAA and the coordinator Sherman Johnson, who played in the big leagues for a little bit. But he was also my hitting coach in Double A last year whenever I was going really well. But just talking to them and kind of, like I said, getting back to what I was doing last year and a little bit with in my legs a little bit more and just making sure that my swing is flat and I'm able to cover the top of the zone with heaters. But yeah, I'd say those four people were pretty helpful the past few months.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to teach you something. You haven't been married that long. Always say your wife. It's always your
Yep.
wife, no matter what. No
You
matter what.
failed on that
He
one.
did. He started.
It's
it.
your wife. It's
Yeah.
Chloe. What happened? She might know nothing about baseball, but yep, Chloe.
Yep.
She told me, they were pitching me up high heaters to get on top of
Yep.
the high heater. That's what she told me. So thank you, Chloe. We love you.
Yep. She's the best.
There you go. Now see, now you learn quickly.
Yep.
What do you think anything had to do with you moving? Because you played shortstop pretty much your whole life. You get to the big leagues and they're like, oh, by the way, you're not our shortstop. There's a pretty good dude over there at shortstop named Gunner, and you're going to play second base. Do you think that affected you at all?
No. I had known during the off season they reached out and Manzo's the third base coach came out to Stillwater and was like, "Hey, we want you to take ground balls at second base, and we think that's where you're going to have the best chance to play consistently." And I'm like, "Yeah, I obviously get it. Gunner is one of the best players in the big league, so yeah, get it. I'm going to try to be the best second baseman that I can be." And but yeah, I kind of knew going into spring training I had a chance to make the team as the second baseman, and but yeah, I don't think that affected anything. I played a little bit last year in the minor leagues, but yeah, I totally understood where they were coming from, and Gunner's the man.
Is there any kind of joking around in the clubhouse? I talk about the story from Joey Bart and Buster Posey. Everybody knew Joey Bart was taking Buster Posey's job, and Buster Posey joked about it. He had his kid go up to Joey Bart and say, "Why are you taking my dad's job, mister?" Has there been any, like, you hit a homer in a game and Gunner doesn't hit a homer and you're like you send Cowser up and be like, "Hey, Gunner, tell Gunner I'm coming for his job." Is there any joking like that in the clubhouse, or are you still a little too green for that?
No, I don't make any jokes like that. Cowser will make high school jokes like, "Hey Gunner, what did you hit in high school?" or something like that. But Cowser's a kind of an instigator. But no, I
Okay.
mean obviously Gunner's an unbelievable player, and I think he's probably going to be playing shortstop for a really long time for us.
They make you sing in the front of the bus?
Somehow I've dodged that so far. But I definitely had to come up to the bus. Me and Cowser had to do a spelling bee last week, so I'm
And
assuming that's coming pretty soon. Oh no, I'm a terrible speller. Pretty much the worst ever. I did not win.
what
The
if you have to
Stillwater High
sing?
School. Wait, the
Stillwater
Stillwater
High
High
School.
School education didn't teach you how
Yeah,
to spell or what?
I did online classes the last 3 years of high school, so half of my sophomore year, and then COVID, and then I was full online. Just kind of went to baseball school, so definitely um, chose
Misspelling.
the right path. Yeah, school would not have been my thing.
It's okay. Things worked out.
But what song are you
Yeah.
going to sing when you have to sing? Because
Oh,
now
what song?
the boys are watching it.
Yeah, probably Good Direction. I'm a country guy, so
You got that
Yeah.
from the Cardinals. You got that from the Cardinals because Randy Choate used to play that on every bus ride on the way
yeah,
on the way back. So you got
yeah,
that
that's a
from the
good one.
Cardinals. I know for a fact.
Yeah, maybe it's in my brain locked away, but yeah, I'm a country guy. Either that or Chicken Fried, which that was my dad's walk up song for a while.
Nice.
Little bit
I
of
like
Jacob
that.
Brown.
All right. So, what's big league life for you in terms of fan interactions? Because I think you're unique since fans are learning more about prospects these days. Obviously, you didn't spend a ton of time in the minors like we talked about. You were a former first overall pick. I did some unexpected research. I came across a security guard in Scranton, and he said that there was a time you were there. And he was talking about you, and he's like, "Man, they were mobbing him. Those autograph seekers are all over his case." So what was that like? And is the major leagues at least a little easier because you got the big league security making sure that you can go to fans at the right time?
Yeah, it's definitely night and day. I'd say my two wildest experiences were both at Yankees affiliates in Somerset. I actually got COVID that week, but that was pretty wild. They didn't really have like a direct route to the bus. So you kind of had to walk through the concourse, and then the fans like bombarded you. But that was pretty wild. And then in Scranton was definitely the craziest one. Probably like 200 or 300 people out there, and they like jumped in front of Chloe driving, and it was a big mess. They wouldn't get out in front of the car, and I had Kyle Stowers and Taryn and Heston yelling at them through the car. So that was wild, and we actually got a police escort on on the last day to the highway, so people wouldn't follow us. So that was probably my two wildest stories. But yeah, Scranton was a little bit of a mess, but they did a good job of taking care of us. But yeah, people wouldn't get out in front of the car, which definitely makes me want to sign for them whenever they do that.
Okay. By the way, yeah, you got to stay 6 feet away from the autograph seekers. That's why I was told to ask you from Charlie Stobbs, who is the Adidas guy, when are
Mhm.
you sending me an autograph pair of your PEs?
You got it. I just got a bunch of them in yesterday. So yeah,
Perfect.
Adidas is the best. But yeah, I just got a bunch, so I can have the club send that to you.
Okay, good. Now, do you have the ones that have the zipper?
I have both. Yeah, so my custom ones are the ones with the zipper. Yeah, I
Okay,
like them.
because my son was just at ECP and they gave those out to everyone, except for
Yeah,
there was only one problem. They were bright pink. So
yeah,
my son
yeah.
No,
is
Mine
like,
are
my
mine are.
son's
awesome.
Yeah,
my son's like, where am I going to wear these, Dad? And I'm like, I don't. Oh,
yeah,
that's a tough
Everywhere.
one. I'm not exactly sure, but they are like super pink and they are all pink.
yeah. Mine are orange and black. So I
Okay.
did have a pair of like the white and black ones with a little bit of pink. I don't have the super colorful ones, but yeah, they're pretty fun. The zipper, and yeah, it's pretty cool to get to see all their designs during spring training, and it's pretty awesome.
Do you and Gunner compare shoes? Like you and Gunner, and then maybe Adley. I don't know if Adley has his own PEs yet, if he's gotten there yet. But like, do you and Gunner and Adley sit down and say, because Adley has Nike, Gunner has Under Armour, and then you have Adidas. Do you guys sit down and be like, well, I'm thinking about doing this for my shoes this year? And Gunner's like, well, my mustache says I need to do this, and Adley's like, well, I'm the grizzled vet and I get to choose best, or what?
No, no, not yet. It's pretty funny that whenever we get back from road trips, Gunner's got a bunch of stuff in his locker, from Under Armour and all sorts of things. So like Star Wars and all that stuff that's kind of related. So it's pretty cool to be able to see some of the stuff that he gets. But there hasn't been any comparing of shoes. Maybe bats is more like it. But yeah, not yet.
All right, quick hitters here. Quick hitter questions. Real fast answer.
Okay.
Best smelling teammate.
Best smelling teammate. I don't know. I feel like Soto or Sir Anthony, whenever they walk through the dugout to the bullpen, it smells a lot like cologne. So I'd say probably them too. I
Philly
don't know,
guys.
kind of random.
Delicious.
Whenever
The
they
Philly
walk through,
guys.
everyone's like, "Wow, it smells really good." So I think probably them.
All right. Who is the best athlete in your family? Since we're talking about your family,
Best
tough.
athlete. I don't know. My dad seems to try to conquer every sport ever. So pick up basketball and probably like a 4.5 pickleball player. I might be selling him short. And obviously, he was pretty good at football in high school. So I don't know. Maybe in his prime, him. I like to think now, maybe me, I can probably run a little bit faster than him, but it's hard to compete with the guy that had Division I offers for football and baseball.
That's a
Should have
long
said your
time
mom.
ago.
Hey, you should have
Yeah,
said your mom, by the way. You should have
No.
said your mom right there.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
She's not getting out on the pickleball court?
No, she plays every now and then. She's a good all around small town Oklahoma athlete, so I'll give her that.
There you go.
See?
And Ethan has no shot. Ethan has no shot right now.
Ethan just hits. Ethan can really throw a football, but as far as overall athlete, as far as like being, I'd say either me or my dad.
Cool.
I love it. Awesome. Well, you're off the hot seat. Jackson, great to have you on. Great to reminisce a little bit too. These guys have been talking about you since obviously you got called up, being like, oh, Jackson running around. You're making these two feel super, super old. So good job on that. Have fun the rest of the way here, and we'll grab you again soon. All right.
Sounds great. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Jackson Holliday
Got
from
it.
the Baltimore Orioles joining us on FT. Coming right back. Still have to talk to Aaron Boone today, and Jason Stark will join us later. There we go. That was fun. Great combo. And also, I would say a unique way to get into it because not many people can start an interview with, when you were a kid, you were doing this, running around the clubhouse. So that was fun. I think he enjoyed it.
He didn't say any bad words about Mozeliak. He just was like, I don't like him anymore. Leslie, Matt's wife, was like, why are you so mad? Because he didn't want to bring dad back. I mean, just like any kid. I remember my son, I remember my son, I got DFA'd when I was walking out to the car one time on the phone. And my son had the same thing. He had a travel team, not a travel team, just a little league team he loved playing with. And he was like, I'm not going to be able to finish the season. It's real.
Yeah, AJ, I've heard some stories from players that are like, I go to my little daughter and my little son, and I'm like, we lost like a playoff series, and they're like, yeah, now we get to play at home.
Oh yeah. Trust me, there things like that happen all the time. I mean, I obviously had a home base in Orlando, so they were like, Dad, are you guys going to make the playoffs? And I would be like, no. And they're like, yes, you can be home sooner. You don't have to go for an extra month or whatever. So. Yeah, I mean that's how kids' minds think. They don't understand the grand scheme of things. They're just kind of in their own little world. And I mean, listen, when I was in St. Louis, I mean, we had all the kids running around. I was in Boston first, and we had like D'Angelo Ortiz and all these kids running around. And John Farrell said the reason we sucked was because our kids, which was not true, and pissed off Ortiz. And then I went to St. Louis where it was a kids free for all, which was awesome again. And we go to LA in the playoffs in the DS. And game one, everyone's out there shagging, like we have done the whole year. And Joe Torre's like, yeah, you guys can't have your kids out on the field during the playoffs. And we're like, what? Wait, what? And he made them all come off in the middle of BP. And so the kids, of course, were crushed in Dodger Stadium.
And kids don't hold things back. I remember my son one time came home. He was 4 at the time. And he goes, he's still all into baseball. He loved baseball. And he was mad at me because I put him in timeout or something. He looks at me and he goes, I'm never going to be a baseball dad. And I was like, what? Did I hurt this kid's feelings? Like, what just happened? Like, so they ride the emotions of it all.
That's good. I like that. All right. Aaron Boone is joining us soon. But before that, we're going to get to the big return for Michael Harris. Maybe we'll get to the Red Sox brutal loss and a few other things. Better than Boxscores coming up. What's better than Boxscores? This segment. Michael Harris II is finally back for the Atlanta Braves, and it was good timing because the Braves handed it to San Francisco at a ballpark that is usually not very friendly to hitters, and the Braves have had offensive issues all year. It's a good cure. A first-inning grand slam in your first plate appearance in a minute. So did you see that, and what did you think? Also, it went a long way, AJ, here. We're running it back. I mean, that thing ended up in McCovey Cove.
It did. And Robbie Ray struggled last night. He did not have it. He really, you see this hanging slider right there, but he did not look like the Robbie Ray we've seen in the past. It's been a long time, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I've got a splash hit. I don't know about Kratz, but I got one. So, I mean, I could check, but I was the home player when I did it. So, yes, it doesn't count as much as the visiting player Grand Slam, but it's pretty cool when the ball goes into the water and you see the kayaks all paddling after it.
You have one and you play there for an entire season. People need to understand what Barry Bonds did there
No, it was a joke.
is ruining it for other people. I know I say this every time we talk about that's the first ever visiting player Grand Slam. Like, I'm repeating what you said, but people need to understand.
Into McCovey Cove.
In that splashed down into McCovey Cove. It is so hard to do. Righties, one righty has never splashed down. And you go there, it is short right down the line. It gets real deep as, you know, they knew to move the fence in a little bit, took away that triples corner. But no righty except for Sammy Sosa has ever splashed down Oppo.
Yeah.
None.
And again, Sosa and Bonds are in a different category for a number of reasons. You got to just put the disclaimer out there.
Yep.
But with Robbie, it's a good point, too, on the other side here, because we thought maybe San Francisco has a little bit of life. This was a gut punch of a series, AJ, and Ray has this on his resume over the years, right? So first inning, hit by pitch to start the game. Strikeout, walk, granny. His first outing of the year when he came back, I think, was like this, but without the grand slam. And I think he gave like a run in the first, and then he like shoved. So this is what happens with him, but he couldn't get through more than 2 outs, and he lost in the game in the first.
Yeah, it was over. As soon as that ball went into the Cove, that game was over, especially with the way San Fran's offense has been swinging it. And the way, honestly, Atlanta's pitching in this series has been really good. Now, it's, Sale, obviously, the first night, and then, last night, G. Holmes, right, with the long hair. The dude with the long hair looks like he should be in the Grateful Dead, right? He was the guy who shoved last night for the Braves. So, but they got to win tonight. And just a little preview of my lock coming up. They have Logan Webb pitching today, and he's done okay against the Braves in his career. So it's hard to say it's a must win, but they're under 500 right now, and they have to figure out a way to win today.
Yeah, 4 runs. As soon as a grand slam went out there, 4 runs in San Francisco. Like, no, sorry. I get it. It's not, you're not fighting Sale on the mound, but it's just, you don't make big splashes like that, not to use a pun, but it's tough to do. And I think the Giants, they're a 500 team, and that's okay. It's okay that they're a 500 team. 500 team with good pitching means your offense is brutes magoots.
Yeah. It's a tough park to find the right mix. When you do have it, it can really play, especially in a postseason. But they're 61-62. They are 4.5 back of a wild card spot with plenty of teams in front of them. And also for the Braves side, and I know we just showed that little QR code, Hammer Territory does a great job. Literally, like after the game, it could be a late game. I'm getting my alert 1 a.m. post-game show from the Hammer Territory crew, part of the FT network. They also addressed Jorge Soler. He left the game with left hamstring tightness. That was the big acquisition on the offensive side for Atlanta, so we'll see if he's okay. Let's go to the Red Sox. Some are calling this the worst loss of the year for the team. They're fighting for their wild card lives. They were in a nice and cozy lead late, and it didn't happen. Jake Yazzie, he covers the team, kind of, right?
I mean, he's got the Sitco sign behind his Twitter handle.
Well, I know that.
So I love that.
Yeah, there you go.
So he covers the team. He knows.
He covers the team. Said the Red Sox just took 2 out of 3, but it feels like they got swept. It was that kind of game. Yeah, Langford with the huge homer, then Heim, first pitch, extras, put them in front. And it's the bullpen and really the pitching. We talked about this. We're like, will the pitching last? Because they didn't build this to be a playoff team. The bullpen's got about a 7 ERA in the second half of the season. And here we go again yesterday, AJ.
Yeah. This is what we questioned. Remember at the trade deadline, what were the Red Sox going to do to address their pitching? And they didn't do a whole lot. They went out and got Paxton. Now he's hurt. But, how can some of the younger guys Cutter Crawford are starting to show some wear and tear from pitching this so many innings and in so many big situations. And the bullpen at the back end has really struggled. But, hey, this is why you go out and make moves for depth at the trade deadline. And Listen, they're still only 2 out of the wild card. The division's pretty much dead for them, but they're only 2 out of the wild card. They get hot again. They can make some stuff up. They can make those games up, but they are going to need their pitching to really be solid. And by the way, if you want to see a bad bullpen, look at the White Sox bullpen the last 30 games.
Oh,
30. Oh man. 1 in 15 or something. 1 in 15, I think they are in third. The last for a bullpen, not the starters. That's the bullpen.
Yeah,
You can point to that's where they're losing, but you can also point to the Red Sox. They went on. They had Trevor Story went down, and they started playing guys out of position. Rafaela was like, "Oh wow, he's going to be our center fielder. Like this is legit." We already have Jaron Duran. We're pushing him around. Then we're pushing guys. Hamilton's playing short. This is a reaction to a single one game, but the defense and the base running for a team that, to me, they can't play along the margins. They have to do those things really well. I think that defense is something that will come back to bite them. Whether they make the playoffs or they don't, they have a much better shot than the Giants, who we just talked about.
yeah, they need arms, and maybe you get one on a waiver claim because of where the record is, but probably not. Teams will get in front of you because the NL is worse than the AL, so that sucks. They'll probably end up signing like a Rich Hill to buy some innings, but they need more than that, and it's just not going to happen for them. But they're in the mix. So anyway, we'll get to the AL East with the Yanks. Aaron Boone in the green room right now. So coming right back on FT to talk to Booney about Judge's big 300th homer yesterday. Here's the top 5 for you, Kratz. Or 5 notable names that I put down. Jack Flaherty, Randy Arozarena, Isaac Paredes, Jazz Chisholm, who we'll talk about later, and Zach Eflin.
Those are the big names that went.
I think that's my top 5. Am I missing someone?
I mean, 4 of those 5 plays on teams in Florida that nobody apparently pays attention to that much.
True. And there's relievers, I know. I didn't go down that path.
Randy, next. I guess, because of his postseason, but really, unless you're a hardcore baseball fan, you don't really know Isaac Paredes. Mm-hmm. Jazz, because he was on the cover of MLB The Show. But if you look at his numbers, he's doing great since he's been a Yankee. So good for the Yankees.
Yep.
Right? And then Eflin, he's a serviceable Major League starter. But, he's not a big name.
But who's starting a playoff game for you that just got traded besides Eflin, Flaherty, and
Fetty,
Kikuchi? Yeah,
Kikuchi?
Those would be the other 2. Right?
Yeah, but there wasn't an ace. There wasn't a David Price. There wasn't a Max Scherzer. There wasn't someone like that traded yesterday.
No.
It was interesting. There was a lot of more minor moves, and that's why you didn't see any top 100 prospects get traded.
Hey, Aaron Boone, Yankees manager, dropping by on the off day. Booney, great to see you. We appreciate the time. And also, I know super busy during the season, so Nice to grab you on the day off during the Midwest swing going on right now. Exactly. There it is. Okay.
You
I
can't
had the
do that.
moment,
He
so I
can't
got
do
all
that. It makes his ears
What?
stand out too far because his
No, it
ears go out
doesn't.
too far.
He
That's why he has
knows.
to go forward. That's
He
why he has
knows.
to
He's
put it
not.
forward.
He's not Pedro Alvarez tucking them Johns in there where it's like, what? They're not in there. What? Looking like Manny Machado.
What's up, fellas?
What's up? What's up? I like the backwards hat love for the guys. So anyway, all right, let's start with the headliner. I mean, this is a big reason why we reached out to you. Judgy goes with his 300th yesterday. You've been able to watch him for his whole career here, and he gets to 300 way faster than anyone else in terms of games played. Now, how cool is this for you to experience? It's really a legend that we're watching in real time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I tell him every now and then I take him for granted sometimes, and I try not to do that, but because you realize the greatness that you're watching. But then again, I'm like, man, I see all your outs, though. I see when they get you out or whatever. But it's been fun to watch the evolution of, obviously, he had an amazing rookie year, winning Rookie of the Year, hitting over 50 homers, and he's been a superstar ever since. But it's been fun to watch his evolution, too, as a player, as a leader, becoming captain. He's just such a great person, and to see him evolve, like, I feel like great players evolve, adjust, and he's done that over the years. Like, to watch him now, manage himself, know what he needs to do each and every day to be ready to go to the post, knowing how to go to the post when he's playing through certain things, and then just the respect and admiration he has from everyone in his room is really, really been fun to watch him do this.
You've only seen 200 and, let me do the math, 46 of those home runs. What is the biggest difference, though, from when you came in 18 after he already won Rookie of the Year, should have won MVP, to yesterday when he got walked and you saw a little bit, Soto got walked in front of him, and you saw a little bit of emotion, like, oh, I'm pissed. Like, you actually did that to me?
Yeah. You know what? I think where he's probably just gone to another level, like over the last year or two, is just that next level of control of the strike zone. Like, he's just hard to get to chase now, and when you do that, and then you have obviously the power that he possesses when he's not leaving the strike zone, you got to be perfect with him. If you execute perfect, you got a chance. But when you make a mistake, you're in trouble. And I even got on him a little last night, 3-0, obviously green light. I said, hey, next time don't expand, because the ball was out of the strike zone a little bit. So I think he wanted to send a message with the intentional walk, probably.
All right.
Like that.
First of all, thank you for allowing the White Sox to win the first game of this series. I really do appreciate it. Giving Grady Sizemore, your ex-teammate, his first big league win. That was really nice of you.
What a teammate.
What a great teammate you were. So thank you. As all White Sox fans, thank you for allowing. And they scored 12 runs, which, they don't do it months at a time. So, Aaron, first of all, thank you from a White Sox fan.
That was a rough first one for us.
All on the manager. All on the manager. You need an off day after that one.
That's right.
Exactly. All right. And then second of all, I understand that Aaron Judge, he's on 299 home runs and they walked Soto, but you guys are up 4. Why'd you give him the green light 3-0? That is dead. You don't swing, son. We're up by 4.
Stop.
I think we were up by 3, but no, you can swing. You can swing up 5, up 6 now.
I'm just kidding.
Play,
As a White Sox, listen, as I'm watching this game, I'm going, wait, they're walking Soto to get the Judge, who hasn't homered yet. It's only going to make him super happy that they're doing this. Oh, and then it's 3-0. Yeah, he's swinging 1,000,000% right here.
Yeah,
I mean, it all lined up perfectly to where you're like, this is such a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in that situation, I'm thinking, okay, you got to take your shot probably at Soto, and then you can walk Aaron. Putting another guy on in front of Aaron. I get it too. Grady's comments I saw after the game, it's you're down 5-2. It's not like I want to get to Aaron Judge. It's just. I think it was kind of like we're at 3rd and 16 here, and I got to kind of throw a Hail Mary, and maybe I get lucky with a righty putting the ball on the ground. But yeah, I think it was just one of those up against it moments in the game.
Hey, while we're on that topic, Booney, can we bring AJ in for this one? Let's get AJ on the screen. So
Little
AJ's
three
quizzing
box.
you about your manager questions. I mean, Booney, you worked for ESPN, you were a media member, and then manager questions pop up. The guy above you has gotten the full court press from the media lately. The White Sox. Just saying, hey, I'm not like saying anything we can't say. Grady Sizemore's attempt, that's what they said, and obviously if he does well, great. But AJ's gotten bombarded, Booney. You know what that's like.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I just we're just there. I know they're casting a wide net, so we could see AJ over there.
Hey, Booney, take off your hat. Take off your hat for a second. Take off your hat. See all that gray hair on the side? See how
all right there.
You know what that does?
There.
That is for managing baseball games, not sitting in the booth. When you were in the booth, he had no gray. It was all nice and dark, and then he puts on that Yankee uniform, sits in there, and he has to make a decision on who to bring in the 8th inning, and he's like, gray hair, blook, gray hair, blook.
I do pull those out every now and then when I haven't had a haircut. I start plucking the grays. But a little salt and pepper is good where we are in life,
Makes you look distinguished. Makes you look distinguished.
Age gracefully. Let's go.
Hey, Booney, last night you had something that hardly ever happen. Did you give Cabrera like the biggest high five of all time? Because first of all, that was incredible base running because he did it right. He got off to where he knew if it dropped, he could still score, but he was close enough to go back and tag up when Fletcher made the diving catch. And then he scored pretty easily on that. So, I mean, he got his buddy an RBI.
Yeah, so obviously it's like, oh, you beat the White Sox 2 out of, we played really, really well last night. And the pitcher for the White Sox, Davis Martin, that guy's developed a changeup here over the last couple of weeks that is real. He was a problem for us the first 5-6 innings of that game. He was kind of dealing, and it's like I'm curious to see what he does moving forward the rest of the season. And we're a little bit up against it that game, and we're 2-1, and it goes up, and Fletcher made 3 great plays in right field last night, and I see him kind of get tripped up. So right away, I picked up Cabrera. Louis Rojas was on it too. Credit to Cabrera not taking anything for granted, put himself in a great spot, and we end up tying the game. And then Austin Wells has an amazing at bat to break the tie later on there. But there are a lot of really good little things that happened in that game for us, and then obviously we're able to really run away with it late. But that was a big one of those plays in a game, those energizers. That was certainly one of them.
Austin Wells. He's the 4-hitter. He's the 4-hitter that you had really penned in there to start the season. You were like, who's going to protect Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, who everybody knew was going to do well? Austin Wells, you have a decision to make. Jose Trevino is going to bring his platinum glove back. Austin Wells is not only in that 4th spot, but his numbers recently and his at-bats recently have been not just ticking up, they are skyrocketing up.
Yeah, he's legit, and he's going to play. Trevi, we have a Friday night game tomorrow and then Saturday day game. So Trevi will probably catch tomorrow night and get with the lefty going, and then I'll have, but Austin's earned, he's earned the opportunity. Trevi will support him and get in there from time to time too. And I love the duo that they are, and I love what Trevi brings. But Austin offensively now is started to go to another level, and he's been terrific in the 4-hole. Against lefties, I'll hit Stanton in the 4-hole, and you usually been hitting Wellesley 5. But what he's done defensively has been. I didn't know what to expect when we called him up last September. He was excellent presence. He's done a great job defensively. The bat was a little slower at this level to come, but once we hit about the middle of May, June, it's been a lot of high quality, middle of the order type at bats, and I expect that to continue now because I think that's what everyone expected. I think when they drafted him and when he was coming through the minor leagues that this guy was going to hit. And he's showing that now.
Booney, we showed Cabrera sliding in head first at home plate on that sac fly, and unfortunately, Jazz Chisholm got hurt sliding into head first, and Kratz and I both said, please, if you're out there, don't slide head first into home plate.
Yeah.
Just do what Boone did to me. Just try to run me over. That's a much safer play for. But yeah,
illegal.
Used to be a much safer play. But have you talked to Jazz? I mean, obviously he has the UCL thing. And then also, have you talked to your other guys about not sliding headfirst into home plate?
I'm okay with the headfirst slide like Cabrera did it when you're going around where you can avoid something. But Jazz got himself into trouble there, obviously going straight in where the catcher could come down on him. So hopefully it's something that, we can learn from and he can learn from. And, you don't want to put yourself, obviously, in a bad situation. And, hopefully with Jazz, we're going to avoid, a long-term situation and he'll be back for us. But definitely something that, is a learning moment for sure.
You just said it was illegal. Is it illegal? Because the way that I read the rules when they changed them so that you protect superstars like AJ was you can still run straight through the plate. You just can't divert. So he could have run him over, no?
To some degree, but it's I think it's very gray. You can't divert is correct. If that guy's blocking or in a position, then yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But you just don't see anything like, when I got a chance to take a shot at AJ a few years ago.
Everybody wants a shot.
Everybody wants
a shot.
He got me good.
Yeah.
He got me good. I give him credit. He got me pretty good. I wasn't ready for it.
Was it a shoulder?
Oh, or was it a full shoulder? It was opening day.
It was around opening day because AJ had
something. I kind of had stepped on him.
Disrespected me.
Tell us about it. What? I mean,
you don't know about this?
You guys don't know this story?
The year before, AJ's running around third, and I was on the ground, and he stepped on the middle of my back, and probably gave it a little, AJ.
No, I did not.
AJ extra business to it, like, like the heel that he can be sometimes.
He can be a heel.
So I got him my first series. It might have been opening day. The next year, I got my shot at him at home plate. So it was pretty cool.
It was all good. It was all good. Listen, there was no – listen, first of all, I still feel bad about what happened, Booney, although I wish that you still had that jersey with my size 12, like right between your numbers. Like it was perfect.
Seriously. It really was.
And I actually, if you watch – the video is really hard to find, by the way, but there's like a very small video of it, and I actually didn't step down on you. I actually tried to – because like if I would have stepped on you, it probably would have hurt, but I kind of laid off. I was like, oh, shoot. And I kind of jumped over you.
Because my teammates were like, dude, what was that? I'm like, I don't think it was anything like ill-intended or anything. I was just kind of in the path, and yeah.
And you were getting up. You were like, he was like getting up. So it was like, no, it was either fall down or step on him. And I chose option B.
Yeah.
Booney, that was clearly not the opening day that you were playing. You didn't play any basketball that off season, right?
That was no, that was post. That was I had retired from basketball at that point.
That's when you were the first person to pick up pickleball, right?
Pickleball is not in my arsenal either.
You've got a face for pickleball. You would be a dream. You would be dreamy on the court. There would just be so many people would want to be your partner.
You know what? I think I could get into the nighttime cocktail hour pickleball. That's more my speed. But I don't really like the I've had enough knee surgeries that I'm not into the side to side. I'm more like an alligator, one way at a time. You know what I mean?
Okay, I like that.
All right, I got one more real baseball question for you. I think AJ has one at the finish line.
Boring.
But I know, boring. Just pitching wise, I'm just curious because he was like front runner for rookie of the year at the start of the year, and just how difficult it is for the modern manager to balance innings for a guy like that. If you want to throw in Clark Schmidt's progress too, I mean, I know that's different, but those were the two I had circled that I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you balance someone like that.
So far, it hasn't been that hard because Luis has been in a really good spot all year, you know. And what I've loved about Louis is he's developed a really good routine. He's matured. He's worked his tail off in the winter to put himself in a position. You know, he went through some struggles there for about 3 or 4 starts about a month or so ago, and has kind of rebounded from that. So you know, we're just paying attention to it really start to start. There's been a handful of starts where I've pulled back on okay, we're going to kind of commit to that 85, 90 pitches this time around regardless. So we've picked our spots a few times for that. But otherwise, you know, we've let him go as long as he continues to kind of, you know, check the boxes like physically, you know, how we can measure him and that he's in a good place physically because we feel like he is. And this time with a couple off days, he's going on his 8th day, so he'll get a couple sides in between these starts, and that's a little blow for him. But you know, from my standpoint, it's been all right.
You're
And then
losing it, yeah.
Clark Schmidt threw
Yeah.
2 live innings yesterday. 30, I think he threw like 32 pitches. It was good. He's throwing another live on the 4th day where he'll bump that up again, and then probably rehab after that.
All right, my last one. When you go to take heel out of a game, whether it's bad or it's a good game, do you ever purposely try to read his Adam's apple tattoo? Or are you like, nope, eyes up, always looking directly in the eyes?
I don't know. I just look at him. We got shirts made up of his tattoo. God bless me. So he's a really good kid, and
Yep.
it's been fun to watch him kind of learn and grow throughout this season because I feel like there's been a lot of growth for him.
That's great. That's great. All right, Booney, before we let you go, you're in Detroit. You have an off day. And first of all, let me tell Kratz, as he doesn't know this, that I was drafted 1 spot ahead of you in the draft. So just don't ever forget that. 1 spot ahead of him. Yeah, 1 spot.
Booney! Ah, brutal!
Oh, poor
Brutal!
Booney. And then, yes, but that wasn't the thing. But listen, so you're in Detroit. I'm assuming I know where you guys are staying at. On your off day, do you go to the mall that is at exit 69 on Big Beaver Road out there in Detroit?
I do not.
Which is one of the all-time great exits in the history of U.S. highways, by the way.
Yes. No, I will not. We went out and got breakfast, Osmus and Harkey and I. I got a little workout in. I'm going to lay around and watch the Tigers game right now. They're playing as we speak, and then a little show dinner tonight, and go get them tomorrow.
Does Harkey think this team is good? Because if you sit in the bullpen with Harkey, we just talked about it with Luke Weaver. I'm like, Harkey watches these guys all the time, and he can be like, Judgy's probably going to strike out here. Well, yeah. Does Harkey think this team is good?
I think he thinks we're decent.
Okay.
He's been around and seen it all, and sometimes he can be a grumpy old man.
A big grumpy old man too.
That's right.
He's the voice of the Yanks. Yeah, voice of the Yanks, man. Though demanding.
Yep.
He expects excellence.
He yells at the bleacher creatures. He's like, "Yep, I agree with you." He doesn't.
Yep. I'm glass half full. He's glass half empty. That's why we're such good friends. We balance each other out.
And you need to pay for dinner tonight since you're making the most of all the coaches.
That's true.
Oh, but if there's players involved, then he doesn't.
No,
that's different.
Coaches
Booney,
don't go eat with players, though.
No,
that's separate. Okay, cool. Well, I didn't play, so I don't know. Booney, great to have you on. Appreciate the time. Can't wait to watch the video of you blowing up AJ later. That's going to be great. So appreciate you. Good luck this series. All right.
Make sure you get him stepping on my back. Disrespect.
That's the one I want to see.
I'm going to freeze frame that.
I think
what
I
a
think
dirty
as he was
player.
stepping on me, he's like, I was picked higher than you.
1 spot. Hey, and you know that his
AJ.
roommate in college was my roommate in AAA. So we have like all kinds of strange connections.
I didn't know all
Garza.
this.
Yeah, wasn't he a roommate at Nevada, Garza?
Garza,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, Garza. Yeah, he was my roommate in AAA.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I'm sure I knew that.
We talked about this before. Yeah, little
Yeah.
lefty. He was like a little lefty, like 5'8", just do curveballs all the time.
Yeah, he still is.
Yeah.
He's still 5'8".
Well, when
Well,
AJ's
he's still
running
5'8",
the White,
left. You just don't throw the curveballs anymore.
yeah, well, when AJ's running the White Sox, we'll have a White Sox Yankees manager show. And we
Oh,
can talk
they're
about
so
all the
neat.
degrees of separation. It's
So
gonna be
neat.
good.
There you go.
Thank you, Booty.
See ya,
Appreciate
boys.
you. See ya.
All right, man.
Good stuff. Really fun. We'll come back with that's what he said on the Mets dicey situation yesterday with the A's. All right, so here's how I want to wrap up that conversation. There is like a 99% chance that the AJ versus Boone rehash will be made into some type of TikTok or vertical reel that you'll check out on Instagram. So AJ, would you like any other final comments or insights that we missed from that whole back and forth?
No, okay, so
I learned
first
a
of
lot.
all, listen. When I stepped on them, I felt awful. But it was in 2005, and they were coming to catch us. The Indians were at the time, now the Guardians, and I was on second, and there was a sac fly to right, and the first baseman cut it off, and I wanted him to cut it off because the guy on third was going to score, and I think it was Hernandez. Jose Hernandez was the first baseman. He threw it away, and Boone dove for it. Booney dove for it, and as I came around third, he dove like right in front of me, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. So whatever, it happened. I felt awful. And we talked about it after, and Boone and Aaron was great about it. So there's no ill feelings at all. But then I don't know if it was the next year or the year after, he absolutely blew me up at the plate. And I didn't have the ball. And I mean, my glove went flying, my mask, everything went flying everywhere. And I just get up and I go, I probably deserve that. And we just looked at each other and laughed. And that was it. There was no like hard feelings. It was like, all right, cool. We're good, and we've been buddies ever since. I mean, I love talking to Aaron Boone and listen to him because he gets it. Now, say what you want about his managerial style, Yankee fans, but he gets it. He understands baseball, and he understands players, and he understands today's players. And he's just a great guy to talk to.
That is managing. That is managing. He is not a coach. He manages people to talk about that whole situation. Yes, he was a player, but he was competitive. Now he manages people as a manager, and that's why when you look at his winning percentage as a manager, it is elite. It is up there to start a managerial career, and it's all about the fact that he knows baseball. X's and O's are easy. People are not easy. Everybody can associate with that. So Yankee fans who are all over him, beat it.
Yeah, no, I've been a fan for years. So, I mean, he played, he's got the knowledge base, he knows how to handle the modern player, which is something different. You know, you can't have a guy just yelling at everyone. I know but also discipline administered. He took labor out the other day. Like, I don't know. You get the whole balance there. The Yanks haven't won a title in a minute. Okay, look at the roster. Sorry about it. And there's 30 teams. Like, it's just not how it is.
It's hard to do.
The Yankees also, I mean, this is a separate story, but they have the payroll to be able to spend double any team. Like, I'm saying the revenue. The team makes a disgusting amount of money. Like, if you did that and you just bought every single best player on the market, you probably would be different. That's not how they operate anymore. It's not. Hey, we're back. Let's do a little That's What He Said here from the jump. We're going to focus on the A's and the Mets first with a back and forth with Joey Estes from Oakland. If you don't know about him, now you do. And Ron Darling, who does a great job calling games for the New York Mets and SNY. So first off, can we play the little thing?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
All right, so let's start with Ronnie. And the Mets broadcast, I would say, doesn't hold back. Is that fair to say?
No,
Like they go for it.
They have a wide berth that they can stay in. They have a wide lane that they can say stuff.
That's why they get rated highly. And there's others too, but you can tell if you're flipping around games every night like I am. Some are like you can tell that it's PR speak and everything's wonderful, and then there's others that sound like you're getting some real talk opinions. They might not always be right, and that's why you had a back and forth here, or there might be more context to the story. But anyway, can we show the Darling part first?
Phillies are this way too. Phillies
with the broadcast. Well, you got Kruk on there. Who doesn't care? All right, so here, Vientos down the line, gets past third. Joey Estes reacts to it like pissed that the ball got past. And then in the dugout, there's no conversation. So AJ, Darling obviously blew that whole situation up and said he hates when pitchers show up, fielders, and he was a pitcher. So what did you think about that?
Listen, it happens in the heat of the moment. Didn't we have a whole thing with Lance Lynn? Was it this year or last year where somebody accused him of doing the same thing? It's a hard game, and people make mistakes, and they get emotional, and this is people's lives, okay? This is their livelihood. This is what they're paid to do. And he was just more like, I get it. It's a bad look, okay? But if you can go through Ron Darling's entire career and not find one time where he gave up a hit or a guy made an error and he didn't go like this or, shake his head or mouth a bad word or something like that, then he's a better man than 99.9% of every other major league player. Because I've seen the most stoic dudes in the history of the world making out, strike out, give up a hit, a guy makes an error, and they're like, what are we doing? It happens. But to call it out and to say like, oh, I hate this, like, to me, that's just not fair. Because again, unless Ron Darling never did this in his entire career, which again, I don't know. I mean, I watch Ron Darling and he's a great announcer and he was a good pitcher. I don't know. It's just hard for me to look at a guy and say, yeah, did he show his guy up? Yeah, sure. But it happens in the heat of the moment, and it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't like he went Ted Lilly. Remember when Ted Lilly gave up the home run in the playoffs and spiked his glove on the mound? I mean, he just was like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, Stroman earlier this year. Remember, and then Judge talked to him about it. Maybe among others, you get heated, you get fueled. I mean, sometimes it's kind of good. Whatever. You're an athlete. You're a competitor. Let's show Joey Estes. So that was the pitcher on the mound, and his quote, because he wanted to clear it up post game. He goes, "I was reacting out of emotion after the ball got way past Darryl over at third. I was reacting towards Darryl. I'd never show up, my boys. For people to not know who I am as a person kind of sucks. Darryl is my boy. I'd never do that to my teammates." So he essentially denied that he was upset, at Darryl about it, right?
I guess he denied it, or maybe he didn't see the video. Like, he showed him up. But the reason that you don't have any video of me showing a teammate up or showing emotion like that, because it just wasn't caught on film.
Yeah.
Like, come on, stop. Like, everybody's done it. So I think if Joey would go back and maybe watch the video again, he would see he went like, oh, what are you? Oh. Like, it was a rocket. It hit it hard. Like, should he have moved over or, like, fielded it? I don't know. Like, I know I couldn't have made the play. And I'm assuming Joey Estes couldn't have made the play. So, I don't maybe he didn't think he reacted as much as the media was grilling him.
Yeah, but also, AJ, it's Ron Darling's job to call something out. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't get the whole context. So maybe he did say, hey, we've all had our moments, but you just can't do that, right? I mean, I catch a lot of Mets. I don't catch every second when we're watching all the games. So I still appreciate, if I'm a fan, hearing the former player and former pitcher say, you can't do that. I'm not, even if I've done that when I was a young pup and I needed to mature or someone yelled at me for it or something, it's just not what you do. It's not good for the ball club.
True. But listen, at the same time, I mean, I don't know the whole context because I've only seen this quote on this whole thing. So I don't know exactly what Ron Darling said, but you can say it I feel like you can say it in a different way. You can say, oh, like this isn't something he should do again, or this is a bad look. But to say like, I'm not in agreement with doing that. Like, we all know that nobody's in agreement with showing up anybody at any point because the game is hard. So I don't know. Maybe he could have said it a different way. Like I said, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, Gary, they're some of the best announcers, best broadcast team in baseball, and nothing but respect for them. But again, like, it's an emotional game. It's a hard game. You're playing for your livelihood. The dude, if you're a pitcher, the dude in the batter's box is trying to take money out of your family's pocket. So when you give up a hit, you get mad. Or if I struck out, I'd get mad. Or if I made an error and someone's like, oh, I'd be like, okay, why'd you do that? But at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't have thrown the ball away. I don't know. Like, there's just so much to it, and it's so hard. It's such a hard game that emotions sometimes boil over, and he was probably just frustrated, and it happened. And I'm sure they talked after the game. We're like, all right, let's move on, and it's over with.
Ron Darling played in the era that I know I did not play in that era. He played in the era where dudes called each other out, because right at the beginning of when I started playing in the big leagues in 2010, there was dudes that were like, it didn't matter. You made an error. It didn't matter who you were. You could be Gold Glove center fielder. You drop a ball. What are we doing? What are we doing out there? Dudes would get in each other's faces. Like, it's kind of an accountability thing. So, like, calling guys out, like, it's trying to keep your emotions in check, but it's all the things that AJ just said. You are going to be emotional because the game is freaking tough at the biggest level that you want to stay at.
Yeah, and last point on this, I know Bourbon Baseball, who we love in the chat, is pointing this out, and I should mention this. He's going through it off the field right now. There's a death in the family. He was dedicating, I think, the performance to his late brother-in-law. So, and guys are always going through things too that we don't know about. So, really, in the grand scheme of things, like, we have fun talking about this stuff on shows, but NBD, like, it's a little thing. So yeah, he's going through some serious stuff. He was informed before the game. His brother-in-law was killed by a drunk driver, which is absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. So anyway, good to get insight and perspective on that one. We're going to step aside again because our next guest is ready to go. Let's talk a little Phillies, but let's also talk about some rule changes that could be coming up. Jayson Stark, the great Jayson Stark from The Athletic.
Is there a chance that Paul Skeens is better than what Paul Skeens is, since every pitcher that has ever left the Pirates is actually better? Clay Holmes, Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow. Is there something that could still be unlocked? Because you look at Fernando Valenzuela's, because you said it, his career, he didn't continue this. So is there something more that we could see from Skeens in the future? I don't know what more there could be, but...
Yes, he's 6'6", 235. He is wildly competitive. Fellas, I did the All-Star game, as I always do, from the one of the dugouts as a radio reporter. And I watched Paul Skeens walk up and down that dugout about 20 times. He could not sit still. Now, again, he's 22 years old and he's starting the All-Star game. Maybe that's the way any pitcher would be, but he didn't see anybody during the pacing back and forth, because that's the zone he was getting into. And Eric, Cam, that zone that these pitchers get into, they are in a trance. They don't even know where they are, because all they're thinking about is going out there and throwing 102 miles an hour with filthy secondary stuff. So I learned a little bit just watching him walk back and forth there. And yet after his inning, I interviewed him and he was completely composed. There is nothing not to like about this guy. And you're asking me, is there more there? I don't think there's any doubt. There's a lot more there for Paul Skeens, and that is really saying something.
Here we go. We're back on FT with our friend Jason Stark from The Athletic. Make sure you check out all of his articles there. Give him a follow on Twitter at JasonST. And he's got a great pod that he runs every week called Starkville Pod. Go search that wherever you get your pods. I think I covered most of what he's got going on this week. Jason, great to see you. How you doing?
Scott, I'm great, man. How are you guys?
We're good. Got a lot to hit with you, but I actually wanted to start with the Phillies because I think this has been a fascinating team, and obviously you've been covering them in depth for years. What do you think of the 2024 version of the Philadelphia Phillies? The last 2 years starting slow, picking up steam as the season goes on. This year, it seems like we've had the reverse effect.
Yeah, they're having an interesting year, right? 8 All-Stars and then 8 wins since the All-Star game. Has that ever happened? Look, they're obviously better than this, but I see 3 things that have gone on over the last month. Curious what you guys think. One is, pitching isn't the same. Best first half ERA in the sport, ERA over 5 in the second half, so that's had a huge impact. They've trailed a lot. Offense. It's almost felt like games 6 and 7 against the Diamondbacks went on for a month. You know what I mean? They just saw so much off speed and so much spin. And the approach to that was not real good. So teams just kept doing it. It was like the offense played right into the pitcher's hands. And I know they're working on trying to figure that out. But there's a third thing that I think is interesting. Did they start thinking about October too soon? It's June. JT, why don't you go get your knee surgery? We got a big lead. We're good. Ranger Suarez. Why don't you take your time working through this back stuff? We got a huge lead. We're good. And look at this. At that time, they did have a huge lead, and it made sense. But I just wondered, did they send the wrong message? It felt like their priority became trying to navigate the marathon so they were healthy when they got to October. And I wonder if that sent a message that the individual games they were playing were secondary to that, and they've definitely lost their edge. Is that a real thing? What do you think?
I don't know if that's a real thing. I mean, big league players try. So maybe they're trying too hard, or you hear it all the time on the broadcasts. They're like, see, this is the stuff that wouldn't have happened in April and May. Somebody needs to get this job done. Somebody needs to do this. That's more of like a player's like, are you guys not trying as hard? Like, no player would ever say that because it's not happening. No player is not trying as hard or not trying to have the edge. They have an 8.5 game lead. It's okay to let off the brake a little bit until you lose too many games and it becomes a 1 game lead.
Right. Well, they're not there yet, but
right.
Hey, the National League has shrunk. A month ago, they were 6.5 games ahead of the Dodgers. Now they're barely holding off the Brewers. So if there was an issue with sense of urgency once, there shouldn't be now.
All right. So it's a split. It's another Phillies question. Yes, it's a marathon, but there's 162 sprints in this marathon. Is there anything to Trey Turner getting benched after hitting? I think he's hitting like 152 in his last 12 games, and Sosa starting on a night that Trey Turner should have started?
Well, is bench the right word? They sat him down for 1 game. He's going to be back tonight, but he had just gotten himself into one of those funks where, you guys know this, in modern baseball, you just can't swing at every pitch thrown, no matter where it is. And it's just his nature to try to swing his way out of this stuff. And I think they were trying to send a message to him to relax, take some pitches, don't chase every first pitch breaking ball that you see. He's really taken some ugly swings, especially for a guy as talented as he is and as hot as he was. So It's just kind of symptomatic of what we've seen from these guys the last few weeks. There are a lot of star players who've just gotten into incredible funks that you very rarely see.
Hey, Jason, I know it's been a few weeks now, but were you surprised specifically to see the wheeling and dealing with the Phillies and Orioles? I put it in the good problem category if they face each other and, say Soto and Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez are shoving and shutting down the Phillies in the World Series, although that will be a huge storyline if that ends up happening. But I just thought there was a lot of uniqueness to it, and that the Orioles picked not one, but two players they were going after. They couldn't get the one in the first deal. They got the other. So what did you think of all of that?
Yeah, well, it was actually historically unique, Scott. We went back and looked at this. The Orioles had the best record in the American League at the time they made the Sir Anthony Dominguez trade, and the Phillies had the best record in the National League. And we can only find one time in the last 30 years when two teams with the best record in each league made a trade this late in the season. And really, that one didn't count. It was kind of the Yankees just needed to get rid of Joey Gallo, so they did. So it was historically unique. But I think it was also a commentary on this deadline. Dave Dombrowski had actually said this a day or two earlier, that it's just a year where there's so few sellers, maybe you have to look at something different. And so you found two buyers who each had a need that they could help. Austin Hayes had fallen out of a big role in the Orioles outfield. Sir Anthony Dominguez had fallen out of a circle of trust in the Phillies bullpen. So boom, that swap made sense to me. The other one was more of a shock, the Gregory Soto deal. But he had also pitched himself out of their circle of trust. His agent had gone to them and said he wasn't happy about always just working in the middle innings. He felt like he had he's got a reputation that he had carved out as a guy who could pitch the late innings. And so he went to Baltimore and they gave him some opportunities in the late innings, and it's been a disaster. So it's just fascinating to see two teams rearrange the chessboard when they're this good.
It is. Soto couldn't throw strikes. Let's not forget that, Jason.
Yeah.
Soto just couldn't, and he still couldn't throw strikes when he went to Baltimore, and that's the recipe for disaster in late innings. Walks really kill you. But I have an interesting question for you. I'm sure you saw Jesse Rogers' report about how they're going to try to curtail pitching injuries by making pitchers throw 6 innings, and then you came up with the double hook idea, which I like, but there's only one problem with that. It's not going to work. It's never going to happen. And actually, I don't like the idea at all. So we can have a debate on that all day long, but you can't just go around changing rules. Okay, the pitcher has to go 6 innings. Okay, let's say he's hurt. Let's say because he has to go 6 innings, but he's given up 162 runs in those 6 innings because his arm's broken and he has to lob it up there underhand. Like, there's so many things in here that just don't make any sense to me. I mean, I get your idea. If the pitcher can't make it, you lose the DH. Okay, then it would lead to having teams need better bench players. But yeah, Jason, it's like wishful thinking and dreaming, because there's no way on earth this isn't going to happen.
All right, well, AJ, Ken Rosenthal actually and I wrote a piece about this very topic. You might have heard of him. He's also a writer for The Athletic. I think he might have appeared in your show once or twice.
Teammate.
Oh, the little guy.
Yeah.
The little guy. Junior.
He's a little guy. That's the one. Yep. So we wrote about this too, and we got into this same territory. And let me just set the guidelines. It's a way to address the decline of the starting pitcher. Just to watch the prominence of the starting pitcher seep away in today's sport is just a rough thing for the sport as an entertainment product. And I posed this question in that story. Suppose the NFL think tank decided that the way to go was quarterback by committee. So you'd go to a Chiefs game. Maybe Patrick Mahomes would play all 4 quarters, but maybe he'd just play the 4th quarter. Maybe he'd never play the 4th quarter. What would the NFL do if all of a sudden teams' analytic departments decided we're just going to play 3-4 quarterbacks every game. It's a glamour position in the sport, and the sport needs stars, and they would do something. They would change the rules in 5 minutes. So baseball is facing a really similar parallel, I think. For 100 years, what was the first question anybody asked about a baseball game? Who's pitching tonight? And maybe it was Pedro against Randy Johnson, right? Maybe it was Tom Seaver against Jim Palmer. Whoever. It was 2 stars who were going to hold the ball in their hands 100 times a night, and the game revolved around them. And that's going away. So should the sport do something about it or not? That's the premise. Then the 2 rules that you talked about were both in our piece. And you've got an essential question. If you want to do something about it, do you want to require teams to leave their starters in the game, or do you want to just incentivize them? Those are the options, right? So if you want to talk about each one, I'm happy to do it. But that's why they're talking about the stuff they're talking about.
All right, how about this for an answer, Jason? How about we get all the people that are running baseball to make it matter, and to, because what's happened is they're using this to hold down salaries from a player's standpoint, right? They're like, oh, you don't go 6 innings anymore. Let's have everybody throw as hard as they can for 4 to 5 innings, and then we'll bring in relievers, and they'll all blow out, and then the starters will blow out. But there's a documentary I think coming out on Greg Maddux. Like he's like, I could throw 95, I could throw 96. But I was better at 91 because I could last longer. I could locate the ball better. I could move. So how about we start with, let's say in the minor leagues, hey, we'll incentivize you to go 7 innings and not throw 95, throw 92, locate better, and then it'll pump your salary up. But because and we had Ryan Stanek on who said as the opener, it held down his arbitration numbers because he didn't have the innings. And yes, he was a starter, but the arbitrator's like, well, you start 35 games, but you only have 50 innings, right? So it's kind of like teams are trying to figure out a way to hold down salaries and also use as many people as they can, because they're like, oh, if you go 4 innings and blow out, we'll find someone else that can go 4 innings and blow out right down the road. That's why, and listen, I'm a starting pitching guy. As someone that does broadcasts, I want Kershaw versus Scherzer to talk about for 7 innings. Are you kidding me? Like Snell versus Snell the other night? That was awesome to watch. Like, that's what I want to see.
Right, me too. Well, all right, you used the word incentivize. First off, I don't know that teams are doing this specifically to hold down salaries. I think it's a side benefit that they won't complain about. But I think it's a reflection of a couple of trends in the game. One of which is just there's no substitute for velocity. And so, you know this, every single pitcher from 8 years old up now trains to throw a pitch as hard as they can throw it. And there are physical limitations on how many of those you can throw. So that's clearly part of it. The other part is, I mean, the analytics have made such an impact on the sport, and there's nothing wrong with that. That shows clearly that if you're trying to run a race, if you're trying to run the marathon, 100 guys running a quarter mile is a lot more effective, and they would do it a lot faster than one guy running the entire marathon. And that's the principle involved. As I said, there's nothing wrong with it. What I'm trying to say is there's a difference between what makes great baseball strategy and what makes great entertainment strategy. And for the entertainment part of the game, I think trying to find some way to keep starters in the game and restore their prominence as the central cast members of our sport is got to be a huge priority. What nobody agrees on is how we do that.
What do you think, AJ?
I think we've had this conversation. There's going to have to be a GM and an owner that say we're going to start in the minor leagues and make it the way it used to be. And they're going to say we're going to take our organization and we're going to do it. We're going 7 innings in the minor leagues matters. They're not going to pitch every 6th day, once a week like they do in the minor leagues. They're going to pitch every 5th day. We're going to start preparing guys to get to the big leagues and be able to pitch longer, deeper. And yes, I understand velocity is great, but at the same time, everybody blowing out, everybody getting hurt is not great. So I think there are ways to do it. I don't think we have to change rules to make it happen. We just have to change people's mindsets.
I think you're. I would like to think you're right. I think you're wrong. I think you have to change the rules and force teams to do it. Force them to develop that way. I'm curious what your big issue is with the double hook. There are a lot of starting pitchers who love this. I've heard from them. I've talked to them. Max Scherzer loves this. Justin Verlander loves this. Your friend Adam Wainwright loves the double hook. I did not invent it. I did name it. I've written a lot about it. I think it's fun. I think it creates some great strategy issues along the way. There's a lot of good stuff about it. I do know one secretly awful thing about it, but people don't bring that up much. I don't know if I'm going to right here. Let you make me.
Oh, okay. Well, the secretly awful thing is if your pitcher goes out in the first inning, you run out of bench players by the ninth. I mean, that's a secretly awful thing, and you got to have a reliever hit. There's your awful thing, and that's what they're trying to avoid. So we're trying to avoid this by not having. I mean, Ching-Ming Wong, right, got hurt running the bases. There was another guy who hurt his foot running the bases. Like we're trying to. We don't want this to happen. Like
I doubt very many pitchers would hit. I do.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if it happens and someone gets hurt, that's going to be an awful thing. And right. Also, why don't I like it? I just don't like it because I think the way the game should be played is if your team, especially with the DH now, if your team is better than the other team and your 9 is better than the other 9, you go play, right? And in my starting pitching, and to this day, I will die on this sword. Right now, up until right now, and you go into the postseason, the team that has had the best starting pitching has won the World Series. Almost, I don't know if it's every time, but it's a lot of the time. Like if Team A has better starting pitching than Team B, they win the World Series. And the Dodgers and the Rays, and I've said this on here, what's happened to them? They get caught using their guys for 3-4 innings. Their bullpen gets exhausted by the time they get deep in the postseason. They're out of gas. They give it up. Now, the short season, it worked for the Dodgers because they only played 60 games. It's the World Series. They won it. Way to go. But the other long series, you see it start happening. Their relievers get worn out because their starters only go 4 or 5 innings. The incentive should be, hey, let's try to win a World Series by having our starters stay out there longer, and let's develop them to stay out there longer.
Look, we agree on that.
Listen, not that I've thought about this at all, Jason. Not that I've thought about this at all.
No,
I do agree.
I think that's great.
I just don't know how to get there.
Nobody knows. Nobody agrees on how to get there. And your complaint about the rule where you would say the starting pitcher has to go 6 is there would be provisions there if the pitcher gets hurt, if he gives up 6 runs, if he has a 40-pitch inning, something like that, then you could take him out of the game. But that's not what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent the starter goes out there, he has 6 innings where he gives up 1 hit, strikes out 12, and then he's out of the game. This would be a rule that would pretty much require him to keep going for everyone's betterment.
Mm-hmm. We only have like 10 seconds, but these guys want to know what's the bad side of it.
Yeah, what's the secret? I need to know.
Okay.
No, they want to know.
Adrian was almost there. I think you'd be looking at a lot of blowouts. That's one of them. You're already behind. You're behind 3, 4, 5 runs. You got to hook your starter. Now you're playing a man short. Nobody wants to do that. The other thing is the legend of David Ortiz was made where? The huge swings in the 9th inning and the 10th inning. And if you had a rule where he couldn't play in those innings, that seems like an issue.
Ohtani, you're out.
That's right.
Who do you want more?
You're out.
You could put him in the field now. You could do that.
Right, you could. I would love that. I'm all for that. He'd be good in the outfield, but I don't know if the Dodgers would feel good about that. But I like it. It's great debate. Let's definitely continue this. We'll do this in the offseason, obviously, because we'll have more time to go through it, and maybe there'll be some changes. But Jason, this was awesome. Thank you. Obviously, everyone check out Jason's work, and you can look back at some of his articles on this in The Athletic. Check out Starkville Pod. Thank you, Jason. Good to see you.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, here we go. That's great, by the way. But let's actually get to that play from yesterday if we can cue it up, just because I like to answer fan questions. And if we don't have an answer, we try to do homework on it. So Dustin asked yesterday if we could touch on the Braves-Giants call last night. Didn't matter. Odd call. Sounded like a lot of confusion. Did you guys get to see it?
Nope.
No? Good job doing your homework. AJ, did you
I
get
just
to
don't
see
know why
it?
there was interference on this play. I don't get the
Somebody was in my house.
Oh, me?
like. What's the interference? The guy has to get to first base. It's not like he stands there and kicks the ball and waits. I just don't understand. This is over umpiring to me. Over umpiring. Like Darno's like sweet, but I don't know what he's supposed to do. He bunts the ball. He sees it and he takes off running. What's he supposed to do? Like fall down? I don't get. Well, this is just over umpiring. Whoever the umpire was, bad umpiring.
Just to clarify, so they said that he was in the way of the baseball and impeded.
It was called
Darno
interference,
from
wasn't it? Wasn't it
Yeah.
interference ball?
Yeah.
I don't know
Which I
what's
don't
weird
understand.
about it.
We
I
have
don't know.
interference obstruction issues, which are plays that are, discretion-ish, but we had
Yeah,
that
but
the
it's-
other day with the fielder. I mean, everyone's looking at Miguel Rojas and being like, what the heck do you want him to do? He's heading towards the bag.
That
to
one
catch
that
the
one is a
baseball.
little bit more understandable because he did get in his way, Miguel Rojas, and that's the new rule that they want. Again, we're
Sure.
trying to make up new rules every 5 seconds.
There you go.
It's still stupid. That one that we just showed, what's the batter supposed to do? He has to run to first. If he stands there and let Starno go in front of him, it's a double play. Like he's running like he has to do, like you're taught from your 5, 6, 7, whenever you first started baseball. You hit the ball, you run to first.
He did nothing wrong. He can't stand in the box and wait for Arnaud to go in front of him and get the ball. I think it's a misinterpretation of something that I think they're pounding this obstruction into these umpires' heads. Do you remember when they said, hey, we're going to really start calling the top of the strike zone? Do you remember that year?
Yeah, I remember that week.
There you go. I meant the season where they started it, and then the umpires were like, this isn't working. This is just to me, it's a pure case of pounding obstruction into the umpires' heads. Hey, don't forget, make sure you call your obstruction plays. Make sure you're reminded, hey, this is a rule. Hey, this is something. And to me, that's what it looks like. And they reached. It was a reach, like drafting AJ before Boone. Reach.
That was not a reach. Look at the careers.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Worked out for everyone. Thank you to the excellent saxophone, always getting us ready for BetMGM. Whoever you are, we love you. Yesterday's locks were very, very successful. I know, AJ. I mean, you had a plus 421. Like, it's okay. But I just
But
want
my
to say
question
overall,
is like,
yes.
so the Houston Tampa Bay is what got me. But like the Dodgers Milwaukee, they push. So doesn't that go void? And then the Yankees won. So shouldn't I get like $25 out of that?
No, because then you would place the bet separately. That's how a parlay works. You can place them separately, but yeah, if you put them all together, it's all got to hit. You were going big. Sometimes you've hit some of those. Sometimes you don't. You're not going to hit plus 421 every time. It's just not how things work. I was kind of sweating until the Yankees woke up halfway through the game. Like Boone said, Davis Martin was shoving, but it worked. So I'm getting back on track a little. You had a nice dub. People got back on track. Pap was a little bit somber yesterday before his pick. He's feeling better today. I've been told we'll probably have him back tomorrow. So what do we have for today, AJ? Are you going big like that again, or are you going to keep it simple?
I always go big, bro. Come on. I'm going another 3-leg parlay. I'm going Phillies because they have Wheeler pitching, and I just feel like they figured out the bats last night. I'm going Twinkies because we had Bailey Oberon, and he's pitching tonight at Texas, and Texas is in the dumps. And then I'm going Atlanta Braves at San Francisco Giants because Logan Webb has never been beat by the Atlanta Braves, and I know Fried's pitching for the Braves, but the Giants got to win one of these 4 games, so I don't see him getting swept at home. So you add those 3 up, that gets me to plus 357.
Wow.
It's good to see both of you guys think the Twins are going to win.
Yeah, I might as well add
Go
on.
for it.
I just kept it nice and simple with a Twinkies dub today. It's at minus 120. I caught it a little late. I think it opened up at minus 115, but by the time I made my decision, it was minus 120. But yeah, I agree. I think Ober's been great. One of the best stories here lately. last 5 starts, he's got a 1.85 ERA. Cody Bradford's pretty good too. I just think that the Twins have great numbers against left-handed pitching. Many teams don't. So I can see them teeing off tonight and getting a dub. I don't think that should be too close to an even money game. So just 120 to win 100.
I did the same thing I did last night. Bought down some overs. I bought down the Boston O's game, the Red Sox and Orioles. I bought that down to over 5.5 runs for the game. And I'm also going to Minnesota-Texas game. The overs have been hitting in both these teams because the Red Sox bullpen is Brutes Magoots, so they're going to give up some runs. And Texas is a sieve right now, so it's only over 7.5.
Yeah, sometimes it looks that's the run total, or you bought it down 7.5.
It was at 8. I bought it down.
Or you bought it down a little bit.
I bought it down half a run.
Cool. Yeah, and also remember, I went double what I usually do yesterday.
That's
so
big.
Thank you to the White Sox bullpen that AJ pointed out is Struggle City. So bonus code for you if you're using the BetMGM app for the first time is FOUL, FOUL, up to $1,500 in bonus bet. If your first bet loses, sign up and deposit at least $10 into a new account on the app or betmgm.com. And if the bet falls, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So quick break, although if you're on YouTube, we'll answer some questions right now, and please subscribe to the channel. And then we got a few topics still to get to on FT. All right, I'll pick this one right now. Marlins news from Craig Mish, who's very plugged in with the team. He was on the show recently going over Miami's situation. He said the Marlins have informed 2022 Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara he will not be traded this offseason as his injury rehab continues to go smoothly. The full expectation is Alcantara will be Miami's opening day starter in 2025. AJ, first off, I just think it's funny that they even had to call him and be like, I know we just gutted the whole team and the front office, but you're the chosen one. We're going to keep you, and we plan to have you on opening day. But P.S., your value's not as high because you're coming back for an injury, and if we suck again in the first month, we'll trade you like a rise in May.
That's what you just said is the key. His value is low, and if they can get him healthy and prove he's the Sandy Alcantara from 2 years ago, guess where he's going to be? Packing his bags on an airplane somewhere else, because Peter Bendix is clean house of everybody, and this is what he'll do, and there's nothing Sandy can do about it. It sucks for the player, but he's probably going to winner.
Yeah.
What's worse, sitting there and doing well, or not knowing if you're going to get traded every other day? Like he's going to be stuck. He's not just going to all of a sudden just jump right into. We're going to have the same discussion we had about all pitchers who didn't have their innings built up, like this year with Crochet.
No, he's not going to have an innings cap issue.
So he's going to go Tommy John surgery.
He might not do 230 or whatever. He was the one guy.
That's what I'm saying. He was a guy.
Yeah,
so,
I mean they might ease him a little bit.
So
but
there you go.
He's going to go. He's a vet though. I mean at this point, he's not a pup. AJ, do you agree? They're not going to be like, hey, dude, you're only going 140 this year with your innings. You think
why innings limits work? Look how good innings limits work. Nobody gets hurt when they're on innings limit.
had like 50 Tommy John surgeries this year.
Dude, let this guy pitch, bro. It's like skiing. Let him pitch, man. Listen,
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to get hurt, and it sucks when guys get hurt. But just because we put them on limits, everyone's still getting hurt. So maybe limits aren't the answer.
Nope, I agree. Also, I will say this: Sandy Alcantara is beloved down in Miami. That's like the one guy. I hope they understand that. Like you gotta think about your business a little bit too, and that the fans grip to a player and they don't grip to many, like they did with Jose Fernandez. This is the guy. It's the only other guy since Giancarlo, I guess you could. But for pitching, for some reason, like that matters in Miami, where they do look at who's pitching that night, and they've only got excited about like 2 dudes over the last 10, 15 years. From what I remember, Yuri Perez was too short.
Guys don't stay long enough.
Bless you. Yes, exactly. So, all right, we're coming right back. Let's lap. I'm going to do a shout out first to Shea Langoliers. He's having a great year. Trevor May, our buddy here on FT, pointed out how good he's been, and he loved working with him. And I think, those two got along well last year when Trevor was with Oakland. But Shea just had a little streak, 10 consecutive plate appearances reaching, and that snapped yesterday in his second at bat. But also that included 8 hits. It wasn't just walk city. So per Elias from Martin Gallegos, who covers the team, last A's player to reach via hit, walk, or hit by pitch in 10 or more plate appearances was AJ's buddy Scott Hatteberg, 10 in 2003.
It wasn't even in Moneyball.
Who, Hatteberg?
No, that streak. Moneyball was about 2002. That was in 2003.
Oh, that was after. Right. But anyway, that was cool. And the one part I wanted to bring up for you guys that I thought was wild. So on the broadcast yesterday, Gary Cohen on SNY was pointing out, or maybe it was Gelb, one of them pointed out how he had a cycle watch the day before and he needed a triple. He had a ball in the corner. Winker kind of botched it, and he could have gotten to third, or at least could have had a shot, and didn't do it. And they were like, yo, you could have had a cycle, but he didn't know until after the fact. I don't care that much about cycles. They don't do it for me, but he knew.
How do you not know? You just got
trust me, I got 3 hits. I got a single, a double, and a homer. Trust me,
Why lie? And also, why not go for third, though? You got to watch the playback if you haven't seen it, but it's like, well, then I actually kind of believe him on this one where he wasn't paying attention. Maybe the young pups on the A's don't care about that anymore. The kiddos.
They care. I would believe more that he didn't know that they don't care. But how do you not know?
He knows.
Oh, I could have. Dude, you hit a ground ball to left fielder. You're thinking rounding first. How could I get to third on this play? Like, if he trips, is that an error? Like, Okay,
well, then now I'm going to send a request. We need to get Shea Langoliers on the show. We need to talk this out. It's just good, clean fun.
We don't like talking to
catchers.
going
on there. So, anyway, if you're looking for Dodgers territory and you're watching on YouTube right now, we did that show yesterday, so you can check out yesterday's episode. Fair Territory's out with Ken. I was on there. It was fun. And then Paul Sewald joins us tomorrow. Ken Rosenthal is back on Foul Territory with us tomorrow. Kipnis is back with us tomorrow because AJ's got his usual Friday thing. Where are you, by the way? I know we got 30 seconds. Where are you going?
Milwaukee. Look for me. If anyone's going to Milwaukee on Friday night, I'll be
Polish. You'll be Polish.
You won't see him, but you will.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So in the 6th inning, look for me. I'll be the Polish sausage.
That is freaking awesome. Let's go. Okay.
Stretch them hammies out.
Oh, man. I went to the gym today and did some running on the treadmill.